Hey guys, this is Joe, and I am really hoping that over the next several weeks, months, who knows how long this is going to go on during this pandemic, I want to give a voice to this whole COVID 19 situation, to the feelings people are having, and to make sure that we're hearing stories. I'm a big believer in oral history, and also just that it helps to hear people who are there. No matter how many headlines you read, no matter how many numbers you hear, it doesn't always connect until you actually are able to hear some people. For those of you who don't know, I'm the Alumni Executive Council for Berea College. That is my alma mater. I love that place. And so I started with my network. I wanted to grab some people who I know are doing good work from Berea and talk to them about what they're seeing on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic that has hit the United States. If you have any people who you think I should be talking to, they don't have to have a Berea affiliation. Just anybody who has good stories about what is going on right now, if they're living through it, if they have family members who are affected, if they're working in the healthcare field or other fields that I'm not even thinking of, please hit me up, let me know, and I would love to interview them as well. So right now, I'm going to welcome Katrina Holden. She is a charge nurse in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we're going to talk to her about what she's seeing on the front lines there in her COVID unit. All right, I'm here with Katrina Holden, who is class of 2009 from Berea College and is working in North Carolina as a charge nurse for a COVID unit there. What hospital are you with, Katrina?
Rex UNC.
Okay, and that's in Raleigh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the point of this is really just to try to capture people's stories who are out there in the front lines, kind of, dealing with all this craziness during this pandemic. What has it been like? Like, take us through how it started, what it's been like, in your life so far. I know you've got kids and everything at home. So what has that been like?
Yeah, absolutely. So when all this started hitting the U.S., I guess this was end of February when it started getting real for the U.S., knowing that's going to come our way. The hospital started looking at and preparing for COVID positive units and outfitting these units to make them as safe as possible for the other staff in the hospital, right? So the unit that I and the team lead and one of the managers for is an all COVIDed ICU. But before we opened it, we had to outfit it to be the whole unit negative pressure. And all that means is it doesn't keep staff any safer, but the pressure means that when you open any doors into the rest of the hospital, the pressure is so negative in the inside of the unit that it sucks air in and will never blow air out.
Ah, okay.
So any of the COVID aerosolization or anything that's COVID in the air, which is all positive, so it's all over, you have about a minute and 30 seconds before it goes positive and goes into the rest of the hospital. They also outfitted all of our HVAC systems and all of our air and heat with UV light. So it sterilizes any air that might accidentally go into our HVAC system and gets to the rest of the hospital.
Wow.
So they did that. They also outfitted some extra clean, we call them clean spaces in our unit, just for like our break room and our shower room and things like that, so we have a safe place. So when we go into the unit, our PPE, we have PAPRs, which are negative pressure helmets. So we wear them on top of our heads, they screw on the back, and they blow positive pressure down continuously so we can't suck any COVID into our lungs.
Wow, okay.
Right? So we wear those. They do cause severe migraines all the time, and fatigue because we're blowing in our own CO2 because there's no way for the CO2 to escape because it's wrapped around our, sealed around under our chins too. So definitely frequent breaks, dehydration. We have Excedrin on call all the time for all of our nurses. And one way that we've tried to outfit us get migraines so much is we've actually taken extra strength maxi pads and we've lined all the helmet and all the pressure points that it screws onto our head to try to relieve some of the migraine pressure. So that has been funny watching some of these surgeons and male doctors come in and try to figure out how to use these maxi pads.
Yeah.
But it's definitely helped. So we've definitely found ways to make it a little bit more doable. They actually brought us in some cots into our break room so that we can lay down and relieve pressure from our cervical spine and help with the migraines as well. Because we have been seeing some neck injuries in the cervical spine because the helmet's so heavy and they're not necessarily made to be worn for 13 and 14 hours at a time.
Right.
Which of course we try to give people breaks, but when these patients are all critical and coding and they're just so sick we can't even leave the rooms.
Wow.
So all that was on the front end, trying to figure out policies and procedures to try to keep the outside safe. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of this stuff is put into place to keep the outside safe, not necessarily us safe. Now we're doing the best we can. Another way we keep the outside safe is we have these medical industrial grade UV lights. There's big stands that go almost to the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
We call it burning. So we UV light all materials, dirty linen bags, dirty trash bags, anything that has to leave our unit. We UV light for 30 minutes before it leaves our unit so we don't cross-contaminate any COVID to the staff that has to pick it up.
Wow.
So we're doing as best we can to keep healthcare workers from getting positive that aren't working in our unit. And so far we've doing really good. We've had 8 positive healthcare workers have COVID in our hospital so far. None have been directly in the COVID positive unit. So most likely they've got transmitted from patients that have COVID and don't know they have it yet.
Right, but aren't critical, so they're not in your section.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So have you had any nurses that you've lost in your segment? Like in your section, you said you have no cases yet.
Nope.
For any of your
We don't have any nurses or ancillary staff that have popped positive in my unit.
Wow, that's a blessing right there.
It is.
Yeah. What does a typical day now look for? Like I know in the past you probably were already working 12-hour shifts, but it's a lot different, I think, now.
It is. Definitely for team leads and managers like me, obviously, because if staff doesn't come in. So we've had a lot of nurses that have shown up and realized they've got, because we don't have core staff, because this was a makeshift unit that just popped up. So we are relying on volunteers from other units, which really they're just told when they get there, hey, we need you to go work in the COVID unit. So by the time they show up, a lot of them are in tears. A lot of them take 20, 30 minutes to even get their composure, to get dressed up, to go into the COVID unit. So for team leads, we're usually there for about 16 hours. We usually get there at like 6 o'clock in the morning and we'll leave around 8:30, 9 o'clock at night on good nights. Because after our shifts and make sure everybody's settled, then we still shower and get changed into plain clothes before we take it home to our kids.
Yeah. Yeah. How worried are you about doing just that? You know, you got kids at home that you've got to come back and live with. How much of a stressor is that on you when you go into work every day?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. However, as nurses, we've been taking care of airborne illnesses our whole careers. Tuberculosis, I mean, we take care of TB patients a lot, and other non-airborne that are scary. We take care of, the MRSA and the VRE and a whole bunch of other scary bugs that we can give to our kids.
Right.
So as precautionaries, the only different precautionary I do is I do take a shower before I leave the hospital. Because the PPE that we're provided with in the US does not cover anywhere from our chin to our chest where our clothes start. Because the CDC has not came out and recommended that we wear the full bunny suits that other countries are wearing to protect their health users. So that's the most nerve-wracking thing for us as healthcare workers. I think we're doing a good job protecting our lungs and our face and washing. None of that is new to us. The biggest thing is protecting our skin and taking a shower when we leave. And so, I mean, I'm not super concerned about bringing home to my kids because I know I do that before I leave. Okay. I don't wear jewelry into the unit. I don't bring anything home for the unit. I don't wear the same shoes. So everything stays at the hospital.
Yeah. What do you feel like the morale is among the healthcare workers in your area?
It's definitely challenging. I have an average of probably 30% of my nurses cry every shift, which isn't good as a charge nurse. But it's just from being scared.
Oh, yeah.
It's just being scared of the unknown, being told you have to take care of these patients. I mean, I know as nurses, we take the oath saying that we are going to take care of these patients, but it's different. Because before we would take care of these patients for one shift, and it'd be 3 years before we ever had to take care of a sick patient like this. We're here, we have to go in knowing every single day, every single shift for who knows how long, that we're going to be exposed to these. And it comes a lot with too is not taking breaks. We're not allowed to drink in the unit. A lot of us are used to drinking water throughout our shift. So all of that combined is definitely a stress on nurses and ancillary staff. We have the chaplains come in and do prayer over hands and be their support for our staff. And just, support them the best we can. Yeah.
One question I know that I've wondered a lot about is, when you're in the hospital setting, you're taking care of these critical patients in the ICU where you are.
Correct.
How hard is it, I guess, for you to be able to support the patient, but also like, I mean, for the families, they can't be in that unit with them. It's not
Yeah,
like any other
absolutely.
time.
That is absolutely true. Um, so as nurses, what people don't know a lot, or maybe they do know, is we're always there for the patients, even when the family has been there. You know,
Right.
we are always in there talking to the patients, holding their hands, even when they're sedated and paralyzed with drugs, we still talk to them like they can hear us. So that part of nursing care isn't different. However, relaying to the family is different.
Hmm.
So our hospital has set up several secure FaceTime chats with iPads and with I forget the name of it, WebEx for
Okay.
Androids. So they're on these stands, and we roll them into the patient's room, whether they're intubated and sedated or they can talk. And then we FaceTime with family. And the families have become accustomed to this. We do it twice a shift. And they try to get as many family members as possible in their side so they all can see the patient at one time.
Wow. Okay.
We also have a set up delegated time where the physicians call and talk to families and give them updates. Because at the beginning, families were calling like every 10 minutes, which is not conducive for us to take care of their family members if we're talking to them. So what happened was we just tell families, you know, the physician will be calling you between 5 and 7 and giving you a full update. But we can tell you that, you know, your family member is still stable on the current drips and vent settings. And then now it's becoming a trend. And so the families have become more reassured. You know, the doctor will call them, will give them complete updates, and they get to FaceTime and see their loved one.
That's nice. Yeah. One thing I would ask you, as somebody who's right there on the front lines, you're seeing a lot of cases, I'm sure, in North Carolina still. And I'm in Kentucky, where we still have people who don't think this is a very serious thing because maybe our numbers aren't as high as other places or what have you. And, you know, I've seen neighbors walking out with gifts to go to a party, and I've seen people, you know, gathering together and hanging out. What would you say to those people to, you know, to let them know, like, hey, this is very serious?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a controversial issue within healthcare as well. Some people are ready for it to reopen, some of it aren't. The majority of us, it's kind of a joke, because we used to call it a surge. You
Hmm.
know, we get ready for the surge. The surge date's the end of June. Now we call it the purge. So now
Yeah,
we're all just ready, you know, like let the purge begin when they open it. Because when they do reopen it, it's going to be absolutely insane.
really.
This is still the same highly contagious coronavirus as it was at the end of February when the nation was shut down.
Hmm.
Nothing has changed. We still have no treatment. We still are finding ways that this virus is attacking our bodies, and we aren't prepared for it. Um, so nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing, besides people are getting tired of being told what to do.
Yeah.
So I think push comes to shove, they are going to reopen, and the hospitals are going to be overwhelmed.
And what does that look like for you guys? Is it, I mean, like I literally have been through a drive-through in the past 2 weeks where the person was there working alone and she had a mental breakdown. It seemed like she was crying
Correct.
on the drive-through, and I can only imagine she's at a drive-through, you know, at a Steak and Shake where people are trying to get food. You're in the front lines, you know, trying to save lives and everything. What happens when that surge happens? What is that going to look like for you guys?
So right now, hospitals, it's not if, but it's definitely when for
Hmm.
hospitals, right? So what we have been doing is we have in place what we call team nursing. And what that means is we are identifying the stronger ICU nurses. And then we also are identifying the strong intermediate care or the med surg nurses that don't typically take care of these vented vasodilator, you know, whatever drips they need. And
Hmm.
we're training them right now to be comfortable with doing the basic ICU care. So we're planning on having one charge nurse, which is an ICU nurse, take care of a team of other not as trained or experienced nurses.
Hmm.
And that is our game plan for taking care of the surge when it happens.
Wow. Okay. Um, yeah, that's rough. It's hard to prepare for, you know, that kind of a thing when you know you're going to be overwhelmed. But it sounds like you
Yeah.
guys are doing a good job. One thing I know, when you're in the heat of anything, a lot of times you feel a little down. What is the thing that you cling to? The hope that makes you, you know, get up every morning and go back to work and keep pushing.
Um, I think for me personally, it's a calling. You
Hmm.
know, I was called to be a nurse, despite what people think. We don't do this for the money. I don't think there's any money on the earth that could pay for some of the shifts we live through.
Hmm.
So for me, you know, I'm there to take care of these people. And we always think about, you know, what if it was my dad? What if it was my mom or my husband? that was laid in that bed, I would want somebody like me to go in and take care of them.
Right.
And if we don't do it, nobody will.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I do see a lot of nurses, we're kind of weeding them out, the ones that have done it for a career path versus a calling. You can definitely tell those nurses. And the nurses, we just encourage them and let them know, this is what we've been doing our whole lives. And in nursing school, this is the oath, that we took to take care of people.
Wow. Okay. Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel? Do you see like, a time when things get back to normal, or is this the new normal?
We've also been talking about that. So the COVID units that we have at our hospital, we actually have 3. So we have one that's called Camp COVID. We have one that's called COVID Island. So we've named them all so we know which one we're talking about. But we do expect those to be open for a minimum of 2 years.
Wow. 2 years. Okay.
Yeah. It takes
Yeah.
about 2 years for a nation or an area to build up herd immunity.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're getting our numbers. Now, obviously, it's not going to be the thousands right now, but Corona is always going to be airborne isolation. It's always going to be this contagious. So we're planning on just keeping these units open to take care of those patients and keep the rest of the hospital safe as possible.
Yeah. Wow. What would you say is one thing you would tell anybody who's listening to this or anybody who sees this? What should they be doing to take care of themselves, to take care of other people in this crazy time?
Yeah. I would say be kind to yourself and others. A lot of the protests and a lot of people that have a background history of depression, anxiety, PTSD, a lot of that's going to be exacerbated, and we're really going to have grace with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes for the mental part of it. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. So it's really keeping that in mind when you're seeing people out in public. And for the healthy aspect of it, we're just telling people take your vitamins. Like we know that multivitamins, we know vitamin C and zinc are the 2 biggest defenders of this. Sleep, well hydration. It's the same with any other plague or any other thing that's hit the world, to keep your body as healthy as possible.
Wow. Okay. One last question before I get out of here, I guess, is how do you feel like Berea prepared you for this, or did they? I don't know if there's anything that can really prepare you for this.
Well, I think that Berea definitely prepared me in the passion for nursing. Our nursing professors that were there, Claire Schuster, Janice Tolliver, Carol Kirby, I know some of them are still there or not there. They always did a phenomenal job about training our hearts and to be part of being a nurse. It's not just the books, passing the test, being able to do the skills. So when pandemics like this happen and we have to take care of the patients, but also the doctors and the other nurses and the respiratory therapists and the EVS who's scared to come in and clean our units, it's more about having that heart and compassion for others, not just a sick patient laying in bed. I think Berea did that very well as a community and family. Because at Berea, as you know, we all had different backgrounds. Most of us came from one situation or the other. And we knew that there. So we were all this kind of like a tight-knit family. So I think that part really prepared me in this type of nursing to be a team lead in a unit is not to judge the other nurses when they're yelling at somebody. It's not necessarily the action that just happened. It's more about what they're going through and to have grace and mercy upon grace and mercy.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, Katrina, let me just say, as a friend, I'm proud of you. Keep doing the work you're doing. That is, it's amazing to hear. When you went to school with somebody, you never know what they're going to turn out to be. And it's not like I thought you weren't going to be successful, but when a pandemic hits, for you to be one of the people who's put in charge of an entire unit there in North Carolina, and to be doing the work you're doing is awesome. So keep it up. We appreciate you because like you said, it could be one of our loved ones who are in that bed or needing that care. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Big shout out to Katrina. Thank you very much for joining me on this endeavor. I will have more episodes of this. Again, if you have somebody you think I should be talking to about what's going on in their lives during this trying time, let me know. I'd love to talk to them. I'd love to put this out there. And if you like what you see, let me know that as well. If there's questions you have, please hit me up with those as well. You guys have a great day. Stay blessed, stay safe, and preferably stay safe at home.